if you want to live in a country in which you are force fed this pseudo Christianity, where you have to believe in God and do the things that they say their God wants you to do, which I argue is the same God that they use to justify slavery in the first place. And then when we look at diversity, equity, and inclusion and what they've done in the Supreme Court, we already see this actually taking place. The issue that we don't understand is that the last kind of nail in the coffin is Trump getting into the presidency. And the scariest part about that is that, let's say he decides he doesn't want to leave the White House. Well, who's going to check him? Because the Supreme Court has decided that checking him is not really something they're interested in doing.
You know, it is super important to understand that certain things that get said, we can't let lie. More than anything, it's the truth of things that matter at this point. It's vital that the truth gets out. And what this woman has just said is complete and utter BS, and we're going to explain that in a minute. Well, good evening. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the evening version of the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. We appreciate you being here, and we've gotten some really, really fantastic feedback. Let me move the microphone here. I got some news from some of y'all that my mic wasn't working well, but my mic works fantastically, by the way. It's the best mic. Everybody says so. Sorry, I'm channeling Trump. So I needed to move it. Anyway, there's been so much talk about this that I really think that as much as I like the Heritage Foundation and what they do, they've really fallen down here in getting the information about Project 2025 out like it's supposed to. So what I'm going to do here in this video, and it may be interesting for some, but it's all worthy of comment. So please go ahead and comment. Again, I appreciate what the last few videos have been like. They've been fantastic. We've got some really good feedback and great views. And I want to keep that up. I want to keep that up with telling you the things that are true, because golly, that's where we got to be. All right. Project 2025 is a project of the Heritage Foundation, and you can get to the Heritage Foundation by simply going to heritage.org, heritage.org. There is an advisory board for Project 2025. Now, as I look through this advisory board, and I'm going to mention some of the names, what I don't see is the Donald Trump campaign. I see things like the Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America. I see Recovery for America New Foundation, and this is I'm just skipping over them. James Madison Institute, the Institute for Women's Health, the Independent Women's Forum, Institute for Energy Research, Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Foundation for Government Accountability, Freedom Works, Heritage Foundation, Hillsdale College, Defense Freedom Institute, the American Mainstream Initiative, Center for Equal Opportunity, Coalition for Prosperous America, all sorts of stuff. These are all sorts of people who are organizations on the advisory board. Project 2025 is a transition project. It's called the 2025 Presidential Transition Project. It's not a list of things that Donald Trump is going to attack. It's not that. And I know it's being projected as that. And I wish someone from Heritage would come out and do this. I've already applied to be in their training. And maybe I can have some access and go, guys, you're not doing this well. Anyway, so this is a note. I'm going to relay to you a note on Project 2025 written by Paul Dans, who is the director of Project 2025. Yes, I'm going to try to get him on the show. I am. I don't know if we'll be able to do it, but we're going to give it a shot. That is for sure. Anyway, the 2025 Presidential Transition Project is the conservative movement's unified effort to be ready for the next conservative administration. to govern at 12 noon on January 20th, 2025. Now, here's the deal. I think that the left is always more prepared to move forward than those of us on the right, always more prepared. They always have a plan in place. Now, all the things that we're seeing with Joe Biden, and as much of the confusion that it might happen, and some of us want to tune into the DNC just because it should be a circus. I guarantee you, those folks have a plan in place. They have a plan in place if Biden stays. They have a plan in place if Biden goes. They have a plan in place if Biden goes and endorses Kamala Harris. They have a plan in place if Biden goes and doesn't endorse Kamala Harris. All the individual scenarios, there's a plan for already. They are not going to be caught shorthanded. They're not going to be caught with their pants down. They're not. They're not. And I think that we often underestimate these people by calling them stupid and ignorant. They're not. They are prepared. And we should be prepared too. So we need to be ready for the next conservative administration to govern at noon. Bingo, bango, boingo, right away. We got to hit the ground running. So by reading this, we're now part of it. It's great. Indeed, one set of eyes reading these pages will be those of the 47th President of the United States. Now, he said what he said, but I am sure that he's going to look through this policy manual. I hope so, anyway. Or someone on his staff before he fills out his staff. So history teaches us that a president's power to implement an agenda is at its apex during the administration's opening days. Remember, we always talk about the first 100 days of an administration. What do they get done? To execute requires a well-conceived, coordinated, unified plan, and a trained and committed cadre of personnel to implement it. In recent election cycles, presidential candidates normally begin transition planning in the late spring of the election year, or even after the party's nomination was secured, like now. But now would be too late. It's too late. The federal government's complexity and growth advance at a seemingly logarithmic rate every 4 years. For conservatives to have a fighting chance on the administrative state or what we call it, the administrative, or we call the swamp, and reform our federal government, the work must start right this very minute. The entirety of this effort is to support the next conservative president, whoever he or she may be. In the winter of 1980, the fledgling Heritage Foundation handed to President-elect Ronald Reagan the inaugural mandate for leadership. This collective work by conservative thought leaders and former government hands, most of whom were not part of Heritage, set out policy prescriptions agency by agency for the incoming president. The book literally put the conservative movement and Reagan on the same page, and the revolution that followed might never have been, save for this band of committed and volunteer activists. With this volume, we have gone back to the future, and then some. Now, it's not 1980. In 2023, the game has changed. The long march for cultural Marxism through our institutions has come to pass. The federal government is a behemoth weaponized against American citizens and conservative values, and with freedoms and liberty under siege as never before. The task at hand is to reverse this tide and restore our republic to its original moorings. It is too great for any one conservative policy shop to spearhead. It requires the collective action of our movement. With the quickening approach of January 2025, we have 2 years, actually less than that right now, and one chance to get it right. Project 2025 is more than 50 and growing of our nation's leading conservative organizations joining forces to prepare and seize the day. The axiom goes, personnel is policy. And we need a new generation of Americans to answer the call and come to serve. This book is functionally an invitation to you, Miss, Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, and Ms. Smith, to come to Washington or support those who can. Our goal is to assemble an army of aligned, vetted, trained, and prepared conservatives to go to work on day one to deconstruct the administrative state. Now, this project is built on 4 pillars. Pillar 1. This volume puts in one place a consensus view of how major federal agencies must be governed, and where disagreement exists, brackets out the differences for the next president to choose a path. Okay, so we got to put a conservative view of how these federal agencies got to be governed. Department, and when I say that, I mean Department of Energy, EPA, Department of Education, Treasury Department, all these government agencies, all these alphabet agencies that are out there, and there are a lot of them, many more than most people have any idea. I remember we talked about a number of years ago how many federal laws there are, and no one seemed to know. Well, how many laws do we have? Because a lot of these so-called laws are just policy of some of these agencies, that some of these policies come with repercussions if you don't follow them for Americans. Now, no one's voted on these regulations. No one voted on these laws, but they have these laws in some of these places in education and in agriculture and the like. If you don't follow them, then you can be fined. You can even be jailed. Yeah, we need to get a handle on these federal agencies for sure. Pillar 2 is a personnel database that allows candidates to build their own professional profiles, and our coalition members to review and voice their recommendations. Now, if you're watching this video, you can be one of these people. If you're a conservative, you can be one of these people. I personally just filled out the application. I don't know if I want to hear from them. I don't have any earthly idea. If I do, great. If I don't, fine. Doesn't matter. But these recommendations will then be collated and shared with the president-elect's team, greatly streamlining the appointment process. So what Pillar 2 is trying to do is have this database of people to have policy opinion. This is strictly for policy wonks, and that Heritage can hand to presumably Donald Trump and go, hey, listen, as you are building your team this time, take a look at this too, because this aligns with a lot of the conservatives in the country who want to push through a conservative agenda. Pillar 3 is the Presidential Administration Academy. It's going to be an online educational system taught by experts from our coalition. Maybe me. No, it won't be me. For the newcomer, this will explain how the government functions and how to function in government. For the experience, we will host an in-person seminar with advanced training and set the bar for what's expected of senior leadership. Now, why this is important is that if you are someone who is new to all this hubbub and you want to really know what the heck what is it? Because I know what you're being told. I know what media is telling you. I know what you're reading on X. I know what you're reading on Facebook. I know what you're seeing on the news. I know what you're hearing at the water cooler at work. I know. And I've said to you this, I said this to you a bunch here recently. Just find out for yourself. It's not that difficult to find out for yourself. And the more you find out for yourself, the better you're going to be. The more settled you're going to be. The more settled in your spirit you're going to be. The less nervous you're going to be. The less upset. Well, you might still be upset, but you'll find out for yourself. So sign up to review some of these classes. See what Project 2025 is all about yourself. So in Pillar 4 is the playbook. Everybody needs a playbook. The game starts. What are we going to do? You can't get elected and just stand there. Well, we're here now. What do we do? What do we do? Got to go. If you're going to go into action, and the president's speech at the RNC was, we're going to do this, 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 this on day one. That's the best time. So the playbook, we are forming an agency teams and drafting transition plans to move out upon the president's utterance. So help me God. This is what we're doing. We're developing these plans and putting these teams together so we can hand to the president and go, do this, 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 this. You hear about football teams all the time having the first 20 plays already drawn up. This is how you win. This is how you push forward fast, early. This is how you win. So, as Paul Dan finishes up, as Americans living at the approach of our nation's 250th birthday, we have been given much. As conservatives, we are as much required to steward this precious heritage for our next generation. So on behalf of our coalition partners, we thank you and invite you to come join us at project2025.org. So I feel like Linus. So that's what Project 2025 is all about, Charlie Brown. My name is Willie Lawson. Thank you for coming to the morning report, Mike. And I want you to go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now. All right. Well, did you like it? Did you get it? Listen, go ahead and go to project2025.org and check it out for yourself. If you think that you want to be on that team, go ahead and apply. At least fill out the questionnaire. It only takes about 3 minutes to fill out this questionnaire. Go ahead and do it. If you like the videos that we do here on the Fight Back Media channel, please subscribe, tell your friends, comment, like, all that stuff, share. We really appreciate it. All right, until we get back, we'll see you.